Time for a very special insights here on ESPN Cricinfo Match Day. Special because, of course, numbers always give us interesting things to talk about, and also because we are also joined by one of our Hyundai Crick Jockey finalists in the form of Anisha Ghosh, journalist from Kolkata. Welcome, Anisha.
Thank you.
Ajit Agarkar, as always, will try and make sense of everything that we talk about here on Match Day. Let's look at some numbers first, and we're going to discuss why New Zealand are struggling in spite of getting good starts. Now, just looking at the last three ODIs, Ajit and Anisha, and we look at the numbers that are on screen now. Good starts for New Zealand, 94 without loss, 88 for 2, 85 for 1. And then they just slow down, lose some wickets, lost it in clusters at Mohali. Just the 2 wickets in Delhi, but they actually had a collapse after that in the last 10, losing 7. So they start all right, and then things go off. Anisha, your observations and what you like to ask Ajit?
Despite getting off to good starts, the New Zealand batsmen have struggled once spinners have started operating from both ends for India. How huge a factor has that been in New Zealand not being able to translate and convert those good starts into imposing totals on the scoreboard?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a hangover of the test series that they played. I think when they came into the one-day series, they almost looked spent, having faced Ashwin and Jadeja and the collapses that they've had there. What makes it even tougher in one-day cricket is, one, when you're trying to cope with that spin, and the pitches have still been good. They haven't been ranked turners or, the balls, they've been normal Indian pitches, but not only do you have to play that spin, but you have to score against it in one-day cricket, where it makes it even harder because you've got to pick the right ball, and New Zealand just haven't been able to do it throughout the series, which is, you expect an international team to get better as the series goes on or as the tour goes on. Unfortunately, apart from a couple of their batsmen, no one, especially in the middle, has been able to get them to scores, and it's their bowlers which have kept them in most games. They've had, like we've seen in the numbers, they've had really good starts, better than India, but somehow the middle order still, after a month and a half in India, are still struggling to cope with some of the spin bowling. You've got to give India credit as well, because the spinners have been really good.
Just on those middle orders, and since Ajit points them out, let's just look at some more numbers. And New Zealand's partnerships batting numbers 4 to 7, and they go at 11s at a run rate of just about 4. India, in contrast, going at 37 at almost 6s. India's lower order doing it, not New Zealand's. Anisha, your thoughts to Ajit on that?
Right. Talking of partnerships and their inability to build strong partnerships, which has been the need of the hour for New Zealand. How about Ross Taylor's inability to explode at the end overs, and how has it contributed towards New Zealand not being able to translate good starts into imposing totals on the scoreboard?
Yeah, I mean, Ranchi is the exact or the correct example, if you like. I mean, Guptill, one of their experienced guys, goes on to get a 70 odd. They look in good position, and Ross Taylor and Guptill have been the two guys who've probably let New Zealand down the most on this tour. You expect some of the other guys are inexperienced in these conditions, are still learning to play in conditions which turn, but those two guys have been around for a while, and New Zealand, probably apart from Williamson, expected those two guys to stand up, unfortunately. And Ross Taylor, more than Guptill's, at least had a few starts. Ross Taylor's looked a lot out of sorts, and that's a big letdown for them, because he's their most experienced player, and he needed to get some scores. I mean, he's got a couple of scores, but he's not looked convincing, and that's probably put a lot more pressure on some of the younger guys in the New Zealand team.
I thought they were better players. I thought Taylor was a better player of spin. Has he been exposed? Have things happened differently? Williamson is good, and it's just not happened. Ross Taylor?
Yeah, I mean, forms. Yeah, I mean, and a good friend of mine, so he might not like me saying this, but no, it's forms. Doesn't have form on his side. Then you don't know whether to actually play, or get into your innings a little bit, or try and get after the bowling, and that indecision sometimes lets you down. Look, Indian spinners have been very good. I mean, Mishra was really good again throughout this one-day series, and we've seen what Ashwin has done throughout the test series, but a lot of the New Zealand batsmen have made life a lot easier because they've not learnt from some of the mistakes that they've made early on the tour.
Right. Thank you, Anisha. Thank you, Ajit. So we try to make sense of numbers, and even though New Zealand have squared the series, they remain alive. Something for them to work on if they are to win it in Visakhapatnam on Saturday.